काश मेरा नाम मणिपुर नहीं संदेशखाली होता। वोट के लिए ही सही मेरा चोट दिख तो जाता। चोट हमने कम नहीं सहा, सबने देखा, देखता रहा, और ये दर्द सिर्फ और सिर्फ हमारा रहा। काश वो चिल्लाता हमारे लिए, पर वो ऐसा नहीं किए।
क्या माताओं बहनों के साथ जो हुआ है उसका बदला लेंगे कि नहीं लेंगे? लेंगे कि नहीं लेंगे? हर चोट का जवाब वोट से देना है।
मगर वो लोग सरकार लोग ने हम लोग के लिए फ्यूचर प्लान थोड़ा सा देने से तो हम भी खुश होगा। अभी तक तो कुछ भी नहीं बोला है। देखो हम लोग कैसा जिएगा, जीने से पहले मर जाना चाहिए हम लोग सोचा।
আর মহিলাদের সঙ্গে শারীরিক অত্যাচার করেছে?
তা হ্যাঁ করেছে।
কার উপর করেছে?
ভালো ভালো বউ ছেলে মেয়ে দেখলে এইসব
কি করতো তখন?
সেসব কথা কি একেবারে খোলামেলা বলা যায় রে বাবা?
मेरा चोट झूठा नहीं है। हमारे आंसू आज भी सूखे नहीं हैं। घर खोया, बच्चे खोए, परिवार खोया। अब मुझे कोई माँ नहीं बुलाता। काश मेरा नाम मणिपुर नहीं संदेशखाली होता। एक बार, बस एक बार वो मुझे भी माँ बुलाता, गले लगाता। काश हमें भी अपना परिवार कहता।
यही तो है मोदी का परिवार।
In democratic state or democratic country, there should be president, chief minister, prime minister. But it seems that there is no chief minister, there is no prime minister, there is no president. And who ruled the India?
এবার যার সার ভালো ভালো মহিলা থাকবে তাদেরকে রেখে দিবে।
কোথায় রেখে দেবে?
কেন পার্টি অফিসে? এবার পরে যখন আসি শুনি যে না এই তাল। এবার সব কথা তো সবার জায়গায় বলা যায় না। মান সম্মান তো একটা আছে মেয়েদের, না কিনা নেই।
ये चोट दिया किसने, ये चोट सहा किसने? आंसू का क्या है रंग, पर ये आंसू बहाया किसने है? टूटा एक बार नहीं पर बार बार हमें तोड़ा किसने है? ये चोट दिया किसने है, ये चोट बेचा किसने है?
हर माता बहन कह रही है अब की बार जरा पूरी ताकत से बताइए, अब की बार
আপনার কতটা জমি ছিল?
আমার তো 3 বিঘা জমি ছিল।
সেটা কে নিয়েছিল?
শিবপ্রসাদ হাজরা।
আচ্ছা, আপনার সঙ্গে কোনো অভদ্র ব্যবহার করেছিল কখনো এরা?
না, ওদের চাউনি ছিল খারাপ, কুমন্তব্য ছিল।
मेरे जख्मों का क्या है नाम, जात या धर्म? संदेशखाली के साथ जोड़ के तो देखो, हम भी है औरत, हमारे साथ भी हुई है अन्याय और कुकर्म।
वोट भी डालने जाते हैं?
हाँ,
इस बार भी जाएंगे?
हाँ जाएंगे। पर देखो बहुत हम हार गए। अब नहीं दिल कहता हमारा कि जा डालना, मेरा कुछ भी नहीं हुआ।
আপনার কি জমি নিয়েছে?
জমি টমি তো নিয়েছে কবে থেকে।
আপনার কে নিয়েছে এটা?
শিবু আদ্রা, এদিকে শিবু আদ্রা নিয়েছে, ওদিকে উত্তম সর্দার নিয়েছে।
अब वोट के लालू से सब आएंगे। आंदनी फत्तरी दचक दूंगे इनके सिर पे।
कमजोर वो कल ना थी ना है आज, तुम लाख कोशिशें कर लो, लाचार वो कल ना थी ना है आज। दर्द देने वालों से दर्द सहने वालों में है ज्यादा हिम्मत। तुम्हारे बिना जो बेबस नहीं, वही तो है हिम्मत, वही तो है औरत।
India is watching you, ma'am.
We are still happy to see our conditions. We are still in this condition, in these critical times.
All these women you saw,
in this 4-minute long story are women that I have come across, are women whom I have addressed as Ma. And people often ask me, why do I call women as Ma? I know for sure it comes naturally. And I also know this comes naturally because I have been very, very blessed to have come across very strong women in my life. My mother, my sister, my Mother Teresa, my Mother Teresa. And all these women have only taught me this, that this one word that is Ma knows no religion. This one word Ma knows no caste. And that one word Ma is embodiment of love, compassion, forgiveness, and more above everything is acceptance. Today, I have a very good fortune to connect with another strong woman. Yes, today is International Women's Day. While the world is celebrating success of women, but there are many such stories who contribute in forming the strength of a woman. Joining me in this conversation is advocate Shobha Gupta. She had been the counsel of Bilkis Bano, the same Bilkis Bano who was gang raped, whose family was butchered, whose own daughter was butchered right in front of her eyes, who, along with advocate Shobha Gupta, had gone through a long, protracted legal battle, finally to see the convicts behind bars. But then also happened a day when Bilkis had to see the same convicts roaming out as free people because they were given remission. While the convicts must have been sent back to jail, but the very fundamental of a country that swears by Nari Samman has been shaken. Who shook it and why? Ms. Shobha Gupta, thank you so much for your time.
Good evening, Tamal.
Good evening.
Thanks for calling me.
Ma'am, पहला सवाल यही होगा, this country is celebrating this idea called Nari Samman, Nari Ki Shakti. Every political party is swearing by that idea of Nari Shakti, Nari Ka Samman. What happened with Bilkis Bano? Was that Nari Ka Samman?
Certainly not. Like, we need not even ask a question on that. Certainly it wasn't that. What happened with Bilkis was disrespecting, violating, causing violence upon a human being itself. Forget Nari Ka Samman. Like, that is far-fetched. You respect a human as a human. Women is part of, women's right are human's right. This has nothing to do with women alone. It's like violating a human being completely. So if I slap you as a man, that's a violation on you. So even if the country does not actually swear to the concept of Nari Ka Samman, please respect the human being I am. Respect the life in me. And my life includes my body too. Don't encroach upon, like, you don't allow a property to be encroached. Don't encroach upon, don't enter, don't cross upon the body. And that's a very simple line one has to understand. It's my body, leave it for me, and let me handle it my way. Nobody can even, nobody should even come close by to unless I permit it. So forget that term. I find it very funny when somebody says Nari Ka Samman and all this. These big terms need not to be actually spoken even.
Ma'am, I still remember 15th of August 2022, I was seated with my friends. There were women in a circle of people. and they were not journalists. When we came across this story, I had seen at least two of them shiver, break down, and question me as how could this happen to another woman? And I swear, I was absolutely quiet that morning. I was absolutely quiet. I had nothing to say.
But I always pose a question, why a woman has to only feel shattered, broken up? Why not you as a man? So it's, something for the society to, and that's the fact, the society got shattered. It was a shock, collective shock to the society then when the remission they came out on remission. And rightly so, because you need not to be a woman to really react to such a wrong.
I was shaken too. I was numb. I was angry.
Had to be. Because how come you allow yourself to be part of a society who can allow 11 of the convicts of a gang rape of 3 persons, gang rape of a pregnant woman, the convicts who are guilty of killing 14 persons, mass murder of 14 persons. How come as a society, whatever gender you are, allow such people to come back to you, come back to the society and live alongside? So the society should have reacted. I'm glad society had reacted. Collective reaction by the society saying we are not approving of this kind of decision by the government. So it's there. Our society has not gone to slumber. Like that's something, such a good thing to be seen. So a very extreme wrong to see remission was granted, but at the same time, the society said an absolute big no to accept the decision. I wish such incidents are not happening ever. But lesson learned is one lesson which not for me and for Bilkis alone to learn, but for all of us. Don't give up. The battle might be very long. It might be an ordeal to face with. There would be ups and downs. Don't give up. If you want justice to prevail, please keep fighting. I wish the fight for everyone is little lesser, little easy, not that long, not continue to be on and on and on as if, even now it's not finished. Government has filed a review petition asking for expansion of the remarks against them. 2 of the convicts have now filed a writ petition, according to me, which is not even maintainable. So it's not over yet. 4 of them had filed parole before the High Court. 2 of them were granted parole. 2 have them been declined. So this seems to be an ongoing process, unfortunately. I just wish one day we can tell Bilkis, now please live your life. There is no more legal battle open in this case. Forget it. Now live your life.
I hope, ma'am, first thing first, someday that day comes when the nation as a whole, collectively, apologizes to Bilkis Bano. I really hope someday the nation apologizes to her for what she had been made to go through.
How do you actually, I keep asking this and I'm glad you said so. I keep asking, how do we convey our sorry to her?
I don't know.
I as a lawyer have said so many times sorry to her. When they came out on remission, I felt very bad. I felt ashamed to be part of the society. I felt ashamed to be, part of a nation where this could happen. And I felt sorry as if I have passed that order of remission. Okay. I could not face Bilkis, you won't believe. I could not face Bilkis when this remission order came. It as if, I am party to that remission order. I could not face her that this could happen even after conviction being upheld by 3 courts.
This is exactly what I want to...
Sorry as a nation. I wish we all can reach out to her residents one after another, some token of love and affection to her and tell her that we value you. We love you, we value you, and we are extremely sorry as a nation that you had to go through so much pain and continuous battle of all these years, which is never ending, seems to be.
And the very fact that the fault is not in her, the guilt is not hers. The fault is of that government who gave remission. The fault
Absolutely.
is of those who are trying to approach the court now for review. Is it abuse of law or misuse of law?
Grant of remission by the government?
Yep.
It was both. It was both. You know, as a convict, one is at liberty to really apply for it. Okay. So had I been a convict lawyer, I wish I would never be a convicts of this nature. But as a convict lawyer, the lawyer might advise the convict have a choice to apply for remission because the policy does permit so. So as long as they apply, that is, they are exercising their right to apply for. But then the onus, not only onus, the duty was, the responsibility had on the part of the government to ensure a peaceful, secure society around us, not only to Bilkis, and to make sure that the convicts of this nature, the
मैम उसके ऊपर से उन्हें उसके ऊपर से उन्हें संस्कारी बोला गया मैम, संस्कारी ब्राह्मण बोला गया।
इंडिविजुअल ने बोला, संस्कारी बोला, वो किसी एक इंडिविजुअल ने बोला। That is, you know, an absurd statement to be made by someone, as if all Brahmins are sanskari. Then there should not be any criminal case, any sexual violence case against any Brahmin in the country. But like, that was an absurd statement not to pay heed to. There cannot be any basis for this statement. You cannot associate a crime to a religion or a community.
True.
You cannot assign an immunity to a community or religion.
True.
Right? Now, in this case, when this statement was made, by the time there was a conviction of these convicts by 3 courts, including the highest court of the country. Right? There was no review filed by them in Supreme Court. That means the very fact that, and you know, this is a matter where there serious observations have been made by courts below. Both. And including in Supreme Court, when Supreme Court had granted highest compensation, a very serious observation made about the crime. The crime itself is so barbaric. Now, if someone has been held guilty by 3 courts, including the highest court of the country, how come anybody make a statement assigning innocence or, you know, some kind of religion-based immunity to someone? So that is an absurd statement. Whether you pay heed or not, or I pay heed or not, that we cannot assign any substance to that statement. So that has to be, you know, just ignored, to be thrown in dustbin, like as if a useless statement made.
Ma'am, you know, I'm very curious to ask you this, and I want to connect to you now as a woman, not just as an advocate. Your association with Bilkis Bano had been so long. As a woman, have you emerged stronger in these 21 years because of your association with Bilkis Bano?
I was possibly a stronger, like very strong woman to begin with, to be associated with case like this, possibly. But yes, maybe hindsight, some, you know, maybe directly, indirectly, these things do make a difference in your personality. You know, when you are doing a matter of this nature, you're reading facts of this nature, this might be making difference. But I do, you know, I come from a family where women are actually strong. My mother is like a rock of Gibraltar. Like, I am nobody before her. Before her? What the personality she is. You know, I'm not even 10% of her. As I've seen very strong women around me, very, very strong personalities around me.
If I ask you one word to define Bilkis Bano,
I always call her, you know, a synonym to himmat. If I have to call somebody himmati, I'll say you are Bilkis. I always say Bilkis is himmat personified. If you have to give a shape, a look to himmat, It's Bilkis. You cannot be anything else but Himmat if at the age of 21 you face all this, suffer all this, still you be alive. In the dark of night, you see 14 of your family persons, including your child, firstborn child, your mother, your siblings, real sisters and brothers which are younger than you, rest of the family persons dead, and still you have breath to continue. You have your, you can live, you can walk up the hill, you can still be alive. You go to the relief, can still be alive, make statements, face all ordeals, continue to be alive, face the battle for 17 long years to be alive still. You cannot be lesser than himmat and himmat.
पर हिम्मत को भी शायद दर्द होता है, बहुत ज्यादा दर्द होता है, जितना भी हिम्मत हो।
मुझे क्या लगता है कि वो उसने जो सहन कर लिया उस एक रात में, वो बियॉन्ड वर्ड्स है, बियॉन्ड, वी ऑलवेज से ना, किसी को इतना मत सताओ कि वो उन सब से परे हो जाए. Why Bilkis still speaks very less? Why her eyes are like stone? A pain of this nature should not be caused to even your worst of the enemy. I believe she had cried enough that night itself, many nights thereafter. I remember when NHRC delegation was visiting Bilkis in the camp, Justice Anand, the then Chief Justice of India, the former Chief Justice of India, then the chairperson of NHRC, he said one line is imprinted in our head that she said, "I've not raped once, but many times. Every time somebody is coming and asking me to redetail everything." Can you imagine? She is an illiterate person, right? She comes from a very, very, very underprivileged background. But the pain caused to her body, soul, emotions, the entire network of relatives, female network has been taken away from her, snatched away from her. Still, she doesn't want to talk about any of it. She now does not want to talk about it. She was very categorical about the statement to be made about what had happened with her that night. But beyond that, I believe she has rested her words. They have caused a pain to which she would live all her life.
I at times wonder, honestly speaking, ma'am, at times I wonder if she ever speaks to this country, what is the first thing she would say? That I forgive you? That I forgive you, dear nation, for staying silent? I forgive you, dear nation, for watching me go through all this? Or I forgive you, dear nation, that I had lived these days here, right in front of everyone. I wonder at times what she would ever say.
No, Tamal, we have to be, little reasonable in that. Bilkis has never been left alone. The nation has to say sorry that she had to see that. She had to suffer that. The nation had to say sorry for the long process of the justice delivery system. The nation has to say sorry for the remission shock she was made to undergo. She was, everything was reopened for her, for a battle again to live. That is, more than anything else, for the remission to be given. But nation had been with her all along. This is one case where I can tell you as her lawyer, she has never been left alone. Bilkis can proudly say that I have never been left alone. Bilkis can say with head high that those who committed the wrong were made to feel ashamed. Never she was made to feel ashamed. The nation valued her like anything, and this Bilkis knows. Bilkis always relishes the fact, always respect the fact that she was never made to feel belittled. She was respected, valued all along, taken with kids' clubs when it comes for the nation to take care of her. Nation has to say sorry because before the court could have granted the compensation, who took care of her to keep her alive except the social workers? We have to think a lot about how do we deal with survivors for to make them to have the battle done, to live the battle. What support system we are providing to them? This nation has to think a lot for all these things. But when it comes to Bilkis, she was never, fortunately, never left alone. Made her to be, to feel her like I'm alone. She was really, really surrounded by people like us, and not only a bunch of people.
Ma'am,
It was all.
this question was given to me by my colleague, Titas Mukherjee. She's a young lady. This is her first job, and to have to come across such a case like this, I'm sure it plays in your psychology at many levels. She asked me this question as, what is the difference between a survivor and a victim? A woman who has a name suddenly becomes nameless after the crime. And what is the difference between victim and a survivor?
No difference. No difference. That is a choice of the word. You don't become headless. You don't become nameless after the crime. It's only the law thought of that, your identity to be protected. Possibly for the reason that, we had all along thinking that, it is the crime has happened to you, and then you want to don't want to reveal your name to the rest of the world because you don't want to be shamed for the crime which has been done with you.
But the crime is not her fault.
Absolutely.
Yet the shame is hers.
That's possibly, that's the irony with that particular section. The concept of section 228A is not to reveal the identity because you don't want to disclose the name to rest of the world. Idea is to protect her privacy. She doesn't want to be, she doesn't want her name to be disclosed to rest of the world. But why is something which is left with the society. हिंदी में what term you use? इज्जत लुट गई है. Now, how do you refer it to the rapist? इज्जत उसकी नहीं लुटती है जो एक्चुअली ये काम करता है. हम as a society, that's why I say we can deal with a situation, we can deal with a case. We don't improve ourselves. We are not yet started talking to say उस आदमी की इज्जत लुट गई, उसने ऐसा काम किया है. अगर ये इज्जत लुटने से कनेक्टेड है तो. So name shaming should be of the accused, of the perpetrator who has done it. But value the person who had been wrongly dealt with by someone, who had been violated by someone, and continue to respect this person, respect more because somebody is still fighting the battle, saying you have done wrong, but I am going to fight it out and punish you. But as far as that is concerned, victim and survivor, those are the names we have chosen, to make the person feel, you are not the victim but the survivor. So victim, survivor, survivor of a crime. These are choice of the words. To give a feeling, when you continue to use victim, term it in Hindi. So this is, you're making somebody feel, every time you say victim, 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 that is still in your mind. So a better term, a much braver term to say you have survived a crime. But I like, doesn't make much sense to my sense of reasons that how it is going to make a difference. She
the same
she
thing
has suffered
Suzette
a
had
crime. She has
same thing
suffered a
Suzette
crime.
had
You
told
name
me.
it whatever way, it is not going to make a difference to the fact that she has suffered the crime.
Suzette Jordan, she is no more with us, and she had told this to me once. Tamal, this is not my fault. Why should I hide my name? Why should I hide my identity? I have been gang raped. I have to deal with the legal hassle. I have to fight for my rights, and I have to do all of this without my name because the society would be judging me. I care a damn about the society which is questioning as whether my story is a true story or not.
No, see, so this is always a choice. Like in Bilkis's case, before 228A was highlighted a lot, and courts were becoming extremely conscious about the fact that name to be disclosed, not to be disclosed, whether journalists can actually refer the name and the face or not. So now recently after the remission, a journalist asked me, a legal journalist, that since everybody is showing her face and name, but now the law is being reiterated again and again, what do we do? Should we still go on with her name and face, or we conceal that? I said, you conceal the name and the face, and then you lose the identity of the matter as well. Sometimes the name becomes so much relevant. So that's the choice of the person. You call the person as victim, you call the victim as survivor, you call the person as something else. I do not find personally much of the elements with those references, but the fact remains that is choice of the person. I remember Nirbhaya's mother, I was talking once in corridors. She said, I don't know why my daughter cannot be named properly with her own name. Right? So even if she has to be referred Nirbhaya's mother, no, she is not Nirbhaya's mother. Her daughter's name is something else. But then, don't make a statement alone. Say in the court procedure, say in the affidavit, I want my name to be mentioned.
Do you encourage women who come to you for their rights, or who are fighting for their rights, that don't hide your name, go fight this battle along with your name?
I would not say anything to them. I would ask them, what is your wish?
Okay.
That's their choice. What do they want to do? One
Okay.
person may say, I want to have the battle done, but I don't want but most of the time I found women actually want their name to be disclosed. Most of the time I found the women want to fight the battle with their name there. But one thing is very important: when the final court gives the verdict against the convicts, show their faces. Don't put a mask on their faces. They should be shamed by name in public, in open to all.
Ma'am, I know you deal with all serious cases. After Bilkis, before Bilkis, you must have handled such sensitive cases. But after the chapter of remission, did you come across women, survivors or fighters who had expressed apprehension as what's the point in fighting? They would come out someday.
Yeah, one of my client told me she was fighting a very, very tough battle. She was raped by a so-called Baba. I'm not naming the trust right now, unfortunately, because I've not taken her permission. And I'm not naming the Baba also. But a very high-profile trust and a high-profile named so-called Baba. So she came to me after the remission, and she said, you keep telling me, I keep telling her, I said, you appear in the witness box, and once you are there in the witness box, nobody can save this person. This person would go behind bars, and that's my clear conviction in that case. So she said, but on what basis you keep telling me all this? You fought this battle, and today, even after conviction from the last court, they are out. But I'm glad after this order, that day I was speechless. I said, yes, for the time being, yes, you are right. Like, unfortunately, that was a very, 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 very disturbing day and event, very disheartening when this remission took place. But yes, after the court corrected that order and came out so strongly against that order, yes, that thing has gone. Now she can again be made to believe that keep fighting.
But I actually came across a couple of women, and their cases are pending. And
Why women
after
alone?
this,
Every single woman is associated with so many men. They should also feel similarly, shattered, taken aback.
I can only talk for myself and my team members. There are men in this team as well, and when we deal with especially women whom I refer as fighters, not survivors or victims, I only
Better
look at them
terminology.
as
This is
fighters.
better terminology.
Absolutely. I do
Better.
not call them survivor. I don't know why would you want to remind that person, the flip side of the battle, which is that you're surviving this ordeal
But I
which
also
has happened
tell you,
sometime.
Tamal, why you have to, like, I'm not saying you, but why we have to categorize victims of a certain crime in a particular bracket?
Absolutely, I agree. I agree with you.
Why are we not gutsy enough as a society? Just call them by their name.
I would love to. I always call Suzette by her name. In fact, we have had long conversations.
Yeah, if somebody is fighting a battle, you don't name the person because of the battle. Like, she had suffered an incident, she is fighting with that. She has an identity and life beyond that. Don't attach, we should not, as a society, should not attach an incident to her completely. How do we call the perpetrators then? We call them by name.
Ma'am,
Ram Rahim,
sorry.
you would call Ram Rahim as Ram Rahim?
संस्कारी, बहुत संस्कारी है राम रहीम.
God knows what, but at least Ram Rahim.
No.
Asaram,
बहुत
people
संस्कारी
would
है वो.
call Bapu Asaram.
Again, very संस्कारी.
But the victim they would call as survivor or victim or a fighter or something. Please call the person again by name.
True. Absolutely. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I have to ask you this question. Do you think, and the question is relevant to today's day and time, and it cannot represent my India, our India holistically, but it's a question relevant in today's time. Did Bilkis suffer so much because she is Bilkis Bano? And if the name means something else, could the scene, situation be little different as far as the legal fight and the remission is concerned?
I'm not sure, Tamal, for this answer. I'm not really sure about this because I would wish to believe always that she suffered. That's a clear established fact now that she suffered a communal hatred violence, communal hate-driven violence. Right? This is a matter of established fact on record of this case file, taken note by courts repeatedly. Right? So this is for sure a communal hate-driven crime. Violence by one community upon another community. Right? So certainly the crime is square that. The rest of the battle or the remission, I do not wish to believe even that that has had to do something with the community. Yes, the crime was.
Well, today, I don't know how happy you are knowing this, and this is not exactly pertaining to Bilkis Bano. Ma'am, do you know that gas cylinder prices have come down by 100 rupees?
No idea. I have not seen the news.
You
At
haven't?
least if that is today's development, I don't know.
Yeah, it is today's development. Let me
I
just
don't.
go to that tweet if I can.
So when I'm in the office,
Uh,
I don't read news, so I didn't read the news. I normally see the news in the evening after going back.
I just gave you a good piece of news. Uh, so basically, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in the morning, he had put out this tweet, and it read, one second. Today, on Women's Day, our government has decided to reduce LPG cylinder prices by rupees 100. This will significantly ease the financial burden on millions of households across the country, especially benefiting our Nari Shakti. By making cooking gas more affordable, we also aim to support the well being of families and ensure a healthier environment. This is in line with our commitment to empowering women and ensuring ease of life for them. Uh, don't mind me asking, but are only women meant to cook?
Ask yourself, do you need food to survive?
I cook my own food. The gas
No,
is
no.
as
No,
dear
no,
to me as to any other.
assume you don't cook. Assume it is only to be cooked by women on the earth.
Hmm.
But women cook for whom? For themselves alone. So
No, but this
how
idea, I'm
how
sorry,
the
but
kitchen, I always wonder during budget time, the journalists go and ask the women how much this is going to affect your kitchen. Baba, they don't, most of them don't even go to earn. How is us, like, why it is not a relevant question to both? Now, if you're reducing the gas cylinder prices, thank you so much. If even 2024 100 rupees matters this much, thank you so much. But then why are you relating it to, why, like anyone is relating it to women alone?
my point is,
It's
why
a
do you have to
it's a
announce it on
huge, if
International
it is a
Women's
huge,
Day?
it is a huge service, if it is a huge service by the government for anyone, then it is for the whole society, for the humankind, that you have reduced 100 rupees on a cylinder. And cooking is actually meant for all, okay? So it is then thanks by all. Why women alone? Do something more for us.
I was I was I was wondering, is it an endorsement of a
See, on a
prejudice?
serious note, we are very capable uh, population of this country, and fortunately, almost 50%. We would handle our ways as a government, whosoever is the prime minister, whosoever is the home minister, and whosoever is the government party in power. It's not, the fault doesn't lie to a single party, a single prime minister or home minister. It's not as if 10 years back we had an amazingly secured society for us. It wasn't so. Please make our living much more secured. Please do something as a government, a federal system, all the state governments, the central government, to make us feel more secure when we are walking on streets. It
And
should
giving
not be
remission,
a nightmare. It should
giving
not be a
remission to giving remission to
daily
gang
basis
rape convicts
nightmare
is
for us.
certainly not a message of security that you convey.
Sorry?
I'm saying giving remission to gang rape convicts certainly is not a message that you communicate as a
On,
message of security.
absolutely, on a daily basis also.
Ma'am,
If
also,
you have your sisters or other female members in your family, would you not get worried if your sister or family members, female family members, are not back to home by a certain time whichever you have thought is safe, and if their phones are off, would you not get worried? Like, so if your daily routine living is not safe, then rest of it is not so relevant. But yes, if 100 rupees reducing on a cylinder is a great deal, thank you so much. We expect more. We expect much more beyond 100 rupees on a cylinder, but a safer living.
We expect much more from the rhetoric that is Nari Ki Samman and Nari Shakti. And especially when the attempt is to selectively reach out with this message on selective issues, then it becomes problematic. Well, several people had chosen to remain silent on Bilkis, and while they have chosen to speak about some other issues, some have chosen to stay silent on Manipur, and women of Manipur but have chosen to speak on something else. The selective approach of Nari Ki Samman and the idea of Nari Shakti, I think, also comes in the way of honoring Nari, and also comes in the way of creating a more sensitive and secured environment for everyone, just not for women, also for men.
Yeah, so when it comes to an issue of violence against women, we should not as a society allow any rhetorics. That the reaction to say no for violence against women, or to object to every single case of violence on women, we should make sure as a society we are not permitting religion or community or a state or a segment or a sector become a reason either to speak on an issue or not to speak on an issue. Every single incident of violence on women has to be objected, should be objected by each one of us. Don't let this responsibility to be passed on. इसने नहीं बोला, उसने नहीं बोला.
सबको बोलना पड़ेगा.
Even if they have not spoken, you speak. Like yesterday, I was on a program on Women's Day, and one of the young students, she recited a poem on Manipur's pain, and I not only thanked her to bringing up the Manipur issue, but then we made sure that we are actually having a 2-minute silence, posing, registering our sense of collectiveness with them, and a sense of being very sorry of what they have suffered over there, and which we should keep doing in every single program. I should, in place of Ganesh Vandana, possibly we can start with a statement of sorry, not only to Manipur, but every single woman who has suffered a violence in a free country like India.
I don't think there can be any better way to end this show, this discussion. I wish I could continue this, because as I began this discussion by saying that I have always come across very strong women. And today it was a pleasure knowing you, Ma'am Shobha Gupta. You have only shared your courage. If Bilkis Bano is a story of himmat to you, you have shared the same story of himmat to the rest of the country, to the rest of the world. And you all draw courage. And I strongly say, human suffering has got no gender. Human suffering has got no religion. Human suffering has got no caste. Tears of Bilkis Bano cannot be different from the tears of my sister, my brother, your brother, or any gender. They are simply tears. We as a country should only and only try to ensure that nobody has to shed tears out of suffering. Tonight, we question the silence of one and all. And tonight, we also pledge to not to remain silent. We apologize to you, Bilkis Bano, and we do apologize to every woman in this country, every man in this country, every human being in this country. If you feel you have been failed by us collectively as a nation, We are sorry, we are sorry, we are sorry. And we only wish there is a better start. We only wish there is a better start where Nari Ki Samman or Nari Shakti are just not rhetorics. They become the fundamentals of a stronger and a better world. And today, on this International Women's Day, I share my very personal idea of women. I personally believe if this world had a heart of a woman, there wouldn't have been any war ever. Thank you for watching. Good night and take care.